Good evening, everyone. Welcome to my channel. This is Babu Krishna Malgu. So let us begin with our Linux basics. So before we start, let us open the relevant documents and we will start on our topics. Okay, so let me open the relevant topics. So let us open the outline. Okay, so as we have seen in the previous video detailing all the units, so we'll start with our unit 1. Okay, so introduction to Unix and Linux. Okay, so we'll let me open the presentation and let us open the notes. Okay, so we will, once we are done with opening all that, then we will start with our presentation, so our discussion actually. Okay, so I'll say unit 1. Okay, so give me a second. I am storing the document. Okay, so let's maintain notes for each one unit actually. Okay, so as we have briefed in previous video about whatever the contents of that. So like now, as like now, they, as you just to recap, we have 20 units in the Linux basics, and as I said, don't worry about with the number. We each unit will range from half an hour to somewhere, some units maybe 20-25 minutes to 1 hour, or like no 50, 1 hour or more, 1 hour 10 minutes, like that actually. On average it will be 14 to 15 hours thing, Linux basics, which is very very important. Okay, so this to cover this one, we'll start with our unit 1, which is the introduction to operating system. Okay, so it is not like just basic. It will be little more details than basic, but not in depth, because that is not relevant here. So but this is kind of theory unit, so you may expect certain theory. And of course, since I cover only the outline and the major parts, so I'll try to make not you now I'll try to make not to bore on this particular one. So let us begin. Okay, so let us begin. So let's check what it is and all that. Okay, so Linux basics. So yeah, so overview of operating system. So we'll see like no the unit 1, whatever mentioned in this particular slide. Okay, so now to see like now what is really operating system definition actually. Okay, so this is maybe you can say as a loosely termed sentence, like no operating system is a program that acts as a bridge between user of a computer interface application. So means this definition says like no OS is intermediate between user and like no system. Okay, so whatever the system you have, so it is acts as a intermediate between that. But that is a, just as I said, that is very loosely defined one. But to be like no more specific, yes, that is true. But you have a lot many things in between actually. Means the operating system will not only allow the user to do his applications or his programs, but also at the same time it has to protect other users from these users, or and also it has to protect the system from other users. Means what it has to, like not two users are working at the same time, and it should not, like one user should not corrupt other users data or other user applications, and then these two users or more than two users should not corrupt the system actually, or any user should not corrupt the system. So it is so many things beyond that. But like no just in a sentence, in a definition form, you can say that one as a bridge between the user and the system actually. Okay, so let us go a little more on that, then we will try to understand. Okay, so what are the types of operating system? Generally, the definition say I have written here, like no single user, multi-user. So because why I have said that one definition, that means nobody uses DOS operating single user operating system. Everyone like no will be using the multi-user operating system like Unix and Linux actually. Means multi-user means not one after one user, a second user, not like that actually. So all users, more than one user at a point of time, that is called the multi-user. So means in I log to my system, the same time another users may also can join, any number of users can join. all are sharing the same system and the same processor actually, means same processor, same memory they are sharing actually. Okay, so the operating system has to protect that particular like now as I said, user to user memories and also the system memory. So that is the brief on that. So how evolution of like no Linux, Unix actually. So like now we will loosely use the term Unix and Linux because as a user there is no difference Unix and Linux, maybe implementation difference. Okay, so we'll come to that a little later. So this evolution of Unix, so MIT, GE, AT&T started a project called Multics. So Multics means multiplexed information and computing service or system. Sometimes it may say as system also, some definitions. So means what? Like no multiplexed information means you have a there is no differentiation of RAM and ROM in this particular operating system actually. So whether you are storing in the RAM or ROM, it doesn't matter in that. But this operating system is not of huge success. Okay, so you, in other terms you can say that one as a failure, but still Multics is still there. So we cannot say failure also. So you can say it is not huge success. So that's what like no the people has moved out of this this Multics project, and they have started something called Unix actually. Unix stands for Uniplexed Information and Computing System or Service. So what do you mean by uniplexed actually? So the concept remains the same as Multics. So Multics also says that one the processor and then memory should be shared to support multiple users. So either Unix or Linux, Unix or Multics philosophy is same to support multiple users with the same piece of hardware, means processor and memory. Okay, so that is the say, intention same. So but in the Multics, like now how they divided the RAM, how they shared to the users, and how they divided the processor time and all, it is different actually. And then if you take in the Unix, they have divided into RAM and ROM. So RAM, as we know that one random access memory, it will allow users applications to load, and RAM, ROM, read-only memory, it will have the system programs actually. So that's what it got divided into two in the Unix. And as you know that one, Unix is a very much popular language actually. So later it was like no coined as Unix, UNIX. So Unix stands for whatever Unix interface, means Uniplex Information and Computing Service interface. So then like no Unix, as Unix is a proprietary operating system and you need to pay a lot of money for that to use. So it was not normal user cannot use that. That's what like no Linux, they came up with something called Linux, where Linus Torvald implemented this one Linux as his pioneer project. Of course, it started with Richard Stallman, and then continued with like no Linus Torvalds actually. Okay, so this we will see in the history. So Linux and Unix, if you ask, so operating system as a user both are same actually. We can say both are same because all the commands everything will be same. Okay, but what is the difference actually? The major difference between the two is like no this is a proprietary operating system, this is a free operating system, and then this major difference is implementation, means implementation is different but functionality remains the same. To be precise, implementation is different but functionality is same actually, because we are using the functionality, it will be same. But if you are working in the internals of the Unix or Linux, then it is different, the piece of code will be different. But as a user both are same actually. Function, to be precise, just you can take it as functionality same and then implementation is different. So but to be precise, okay, so this is Unix family tree. So I have taken from this slide, so you can check on these more details in this slide. Okay, so this everything started like no Unix, this one from either of the two families, BSD's family, Berkeley Software Distribution, or System 5 Release 4, SVR4. So they are termed as SRV5, but generally people will say as SVR4. V stands for like no this Roman letter V, it is 5. So System 5 Release 4. They also can say that one SVR4 or System 5 Release 4. So either way. So these it started with Bell Labs. So these people started one, Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie. And then we can see this one. Richard Stallman started with this GNU thing, and Linux Torvalds started with the Linux, actually taken the GNU and Linux. We can see a little of GNU and what is Linux in the upcoming slides, actually. Okay, so now we will see what is the base Unix philosophy. So here everything is a file. Means what? Like no, directory is also treated as a file. A real device is also treated as a file. Everything is treated as a file. Okay, so memory, everything is treated as one file, actually. So virtual memory, that is also one file. So like that, actually. And then the philosophy is small is beautiful. Okay, so if you have little contents, then that will be good. That's what they mean to say. And then make each program do one thing well. So instead of one program doing many things, like no many things and not perfect. So its philosophy is make each program do one thing very well. Okay, so that is the philosophy. And choose portability over efficiency. So let us assume I want to implement my application. I may sacrifice a bit of efficiency over portability. If I say that one, my application is perfect, but it will not run in so and so applications, so and so operating system. It will run only these particular versions and all. So it is not like no, you are not limiting, actually. So you are choosing portability over efficiency. So when it comes for Unix, so it will give priority to the portability. It has to support all the hardware and all. And there may be certain sacrifice in the efficiency if it has to support multiple things. So that is that is trade-off. Anyway, it is there. So that's what it will be here. And then avoid captive user interfaces. These are the broader thing we are discussing, actually. Captive user interface means like Linux system basically without graphical user interface. That is the main intention. So like too much of graphics they won't prefer. So that's what avoid captive user interfaces. So and then for the system, these are the main parts: kernel, shell, and X Windows. Okay, so if it is GUI, whatever we opened is a GUI layer. So that is nothing but like no part. This GUI layer may not be the X Windows, but that is the GUI. So we can check on that in the latter parts. Okay, so what is the process genome? That is a genome window. So we will see that particular one in the upcoming slides. So why Unix? You can. The next thing is why we need to use the Unix, actually. So it is whatever the robust, proven, seasoned. Okay, means what? To be like no, to in a briefer way, we can say like I want to run my application any number of days. Assume like that without shutting down that particular one. So we can say, take the Unix as granted, because if you run a big application, I'm not telling a small application, but a very big application, you can run any number of days, actually. Generally, that robust it will be. Okay, so now Unix is open. Open in the sense like if you want to extend this particular operating system, it gives facility to extend that particular operating system. Means without much hurdles, you can enhance the Unix operating system. Let us assume you want to add a driver. So they will give the whatever the entry points. So whatever the entry points they will give, you need to take that entry points, fill that particular thing. Fill is not like application filling, that is a programming. So then it will give various hooks, and you need to test that one, because this gives the facility for extending that particular operation. That's what it is called the open. Means like if you want to add some hardware or some driver, anything, it will give you the flexibility. So no need for you to worry much. It will give the functions which you need to take, and then you need to implement that functionality. Unix is everywhere. So as we know that one, most of the companies will be using this Unix, and it will support multiple processors. CPU means central processor unit. So it will support multiple processor and classic and strong fundamentals. So that's what, like no, as I said, main intention of any application developer or any industry is like this: his application has to run without any difficulty any number of days. So let us assume I have my mobile phone. Okay, I switched on. But like no, if the mobile manufacturer says like no, every morning you need to switch on, and then every after 4 hours you need to reboot, then only it will work correctly. Means nobody will buy the mobile, actually. So like that, it has to be robust. Means whenever it is open, it has to keep on running that applications, and then if you don't reboot also, it should not crash, or it should not, you need no need for us to reboot. Like that, strong, robust should be there. So that's what Unix will support that actually. And then has a GUI, but if you want to learn as a learner, the best thing is a non-GUI actually. So this is about the brief about the Unix. Okay, so we will see little, we will see on the Unix features. So Unix features, as we said, it is a multi-user actually, means simultaneously any number of users can use it. Okay, so that is secure also. Unix has to provide, as we seen. So protection between among the other between the users, and that protection for the system. So this is the main thing actually. So and then root administrator you have with all privileges. Administrator doesn't root is an administrator in Linux or Unix, which will have all the privileges. So you like no, there is no validation for the root actually. So as a normal user, there are certain limitations. Like no system will not like I want to delete something, I want to delete other user or something, it will not allow. But root will not have any like no root has privileges. So anything, no restrictions for the root. So you should be very careful if you are using the super user. Root are also called administrator in the Windows terminology, but in Linux terminology, it is super user actually. So privileges are there. We need to be protective. Means it will not validate to some extent actually. Okay, so then preemptive multitasking. What do you mean by preemptive multitasking? So what we are telling is a user, like no, multiple users actually. Each user is running. Let us assume one application. Three users are there. Three applications are running. So like if you want to run that application, one by one application, if you want to run, nobody will accept. So I have a mobile phone, so I can do multiple operations at the same time. Say I can open a WhatsApp, I can open a browser, or at the same time I can receive a call. So like that, you will be doing whatever the tasks actually. So before the task is finishing, it will ask to reschedule another task, that is called preemptive multitasking. Because to support multiple users and multiple applications, before the finishing of the task, it has to schedule other task actually. So that is called preemptive multitasking. Of course, the switching time is so fast, the user will not recognize that is like no his task is got scheduled. Okay, so that is so fast. This task scheduling will be in the matter of like milliseconds, microseconds. So you cannot, user cannot sense that one. It is the task is switching back like that actually. So let us assume I am running three applications in my system. So my application, I am talking about only user applications actually. So let us assume like U1, U2, U3. So U1 will come, and then U2 will come, and then U3 will come, but not serially. It means each will be in the time slice. So let us assume, for our understanding, U1 is 1 second, then U2 is another second, U3 is third second, and then again back to U1. It will schedule like that actually. So if U2 needs 5 seconds, it has to like no 5 times it will be rescheduled. Okay, so that is the preemptive multitasking. And it will be as we discussed, it will support multiple processor, quad core, octa core, whatever, multiple processors actually. And extreme flexible means you have enhanced your Unix system with multiple processors or whatever, that is flexible. It will not like no, it will support multiple hardware and all actually. Okay, of course the everything other thing will be like RAM and all also should be supported. Means what, you cannot run with low RAM and multiple processors and all actually. So it should be proportionate. So if you are extending with multiple processor and all, the RAM also should be sufficient to execute that one actually. And you have the networking support. Means what, so I have a Unix system, another Unix system in another place, then I want to communicate with that system actually. So that is nothing but a networking support. So Unix has the networking support. We'll see certain commands there. And portability, scalability actually. So means what, like portability means like no, like if I change this particular, I can change any piece of hardware like processor X to processor Y. Okay, so it will be like no portable. Okay, so that is the related to the portability actually. Okay, so that is the Unix features actually. So Unix will support. So it may not say that one with this processor only I will run like that actually. So but of course certain configurations you should make. And scalability means what, like Unix will not say that one only 10 users I will support. if you have 20 users, I may not support like that actually. So there is that is scalable. Unix is scalable. Means if it has 20 users and each user is running 5 applications, it's fine. And he extended to use 10 applications, it is fine, like that actually, as far as the resources are available. If resources are available and so many users, of course it will take certain time. You need to like scheduling and all. It may become little slow, but mm, it depends, like no, it is a trade-off actually. So so in the broader sense, this is scalable actually. Means what? It will support the extendability. It is also called the extendability. So multiple users, more applications, like that it will support. So now we will see whatever the Unix architecture actually. So Unix architecture, so Unix architecture. So here you can see as whatever the like no user space, kernel space, hardware space actually. So you can see this Unix architecture as something like this. Okay, so Unix this like on the top user space running is graphical user applications, and then these it may run command applications with making use of these libraries actually. So that are in the user space, and kernel space is the operating system, and then hardware space is the real hardware where your devices will be available. So you can also view that particular architecture something like this. Okay, so you can view in a multiple ways actually. Okay, so here X Windows graphics, and then the normal applications, whatever the basic commands which we'll use, and which is supported by the shell actually. And then if it has to support the shell, it has to be compiled and all, like no like if it is a C program, if you want to make an executable, it has to have a compile. It has to compile making use of assemblers and linkers. Okay, so like that it will do. And sometimes you may call system call interface, and sometimes application program. We'll see in the next slide how it is different. And these things will be used by kernel, and then kernel will use the like hardware actually. So that is the thing how it will be the architecture in other way. Okay, so now you can see here in this diagram like user space, kernel space, hardware space. Here if you see this one, the application can talk to kernel in either of the ways, either system call or through library functions actually. Okay, so why we can call either of the way. So why we are calling with library calls actually means like no, you can call system calls, you can call library calls. So if you say what do you mean by library call, like your printf actually. So in a C program, printf you are calling, so that is nothing but a library. The same thing without printf also you can call something called write. Okay, so if you see this one, that is low level programming, you can use write. Okay, I'm just telling a sample. So it can use this one. Then why we are using either of the way? So why you are using either of the way is simple: portability. So if you want to run an application which will like no, which will run for only one kind of system. So let us assume like I want to support my application like Linux like systems actually, then you will be using the system calls. Because if you replace this kernel with other kernel, let us assume with one Linux, Ubuntu Linux, like no, you have replaced with some other Linux actually. So system calls will be same in that actually. So similar, most of like 99% will be same. So this in that case it is no problem. So portability will not be that issue actually. And I am talking about a very large application, industry application, not talking about small application. So I am, when I say application, it is an industry application. It will take months together to develop, so many teams and all. So that's what I mean to say, a real industry application, not our aired out a small application printf hello world. It is, I'm talking about a huge application. So now these particular kernel OS, if you replace also, there may not be much changes uh, needed. If you don't want the changes needed, then you will go to the library calls. So let us assume I am using Linux. It has to support the Windows also. Then if I'm using system calls, gone. Everything will not work actually. You need to rewrite. So instead of why you we need to do that one, you can use the library calls. So libraries will take care of that. So that will take care of the portability. So you can use either system calls, library calls for this particular thing. So somebody using in the working in the Unix space, like user space, like C, C++, shell scripting, Linux basics, all this will come under the user space actually. Whenever we are talking the Linux kernel space, like Linux system programming, Linux kernel programming, device drivers, network programming, all this will come under the kernel OS. And hardware is different actually. So like the device drivers and all will also come under the kernel space. Okay, so this is brief about the architecture actually. Okay, so like this is the brief on the architecture. Okay, we'll continue in the next videos. So we'll continue with the next topics in the next video. To make this video shorter, we'll see in the next video. Thank you for listening to this.